Hey everyone, this is Don from Jenkins Locks. Appreciate you joining the video today. What I'm going to be going over today is one of the most common services a locksmith will do, and that is, let's say a doorknob, deadbolt, need to be replaced, and all these come with their own keys. So you don't want, most people don't want to have 4, 5, 6 different keys for the house. They want just one. So in this video we're going to be going over rekeying 2 different quickset locks, one deadbolt, one door, so that the keys that work with them now will soon work with the key that we want. So for that, got a couple things here. Pinning kits. This is the pieces you actually change in the lock, and we'll go more in depth in that here in a bit. Some kits are specific for types of locks. This does a quickset and a Schlage locks, or you have ones that are just specifically to quickset. Now, with that said, you take it with a grain of salt. You can use these to rekey other types of locks. It's just the pins inside are different standards. So you either want to make sure you're using a universal or one specific for the lock you're going with. And we'll go on the goodies on that here in a minute. So we got the locks. Now in repinning, get some of this out of the way. A very important thing to have is either a pinning tray, and this is to organize your pins and the pieces of the lock, so it's not just sprawling out and rolling around, because pins do like to roll everywhere. Or you can have a pinning tray mat, like this one from CLK Supplies. This gives you a nice work surface, gives you dividers for organizing stuff, and if you're doing a lot of rekeying or doing more of a commercial with master keys, then you have everything divided up here. Got a few things over here we'll go over later, and you don't have to have these, but they make it super great pinning tweezers, and we'll see those in action here in a bit. So let's go ahead and open up this pinning kit. Make sure I get it. So in this, you'll see it actually diagrams what's in here. So tools, which we'll go through here in a second. So here you have the bottom pins. Bottom pins are, I'll be able to demonstrate this better in a bit, but the bottom pins are what you match up to the cut of the key. This group right here are master pins. That's again if you're doing more commercial. So you need the boss key or the master key that unlocks everything. The lock would be pinned with that, but then also these would allow a second key or third key or possibly fourth key be used to limit access. Then you have top pins, standard. These are what go under the springs. Springs will push it down and make the locks work, and then some other odds and ends here. So we'll set that there. So now the tools inside. So this is the key we want to use. So we'll actually need to figure out what pins need to go into the chamber. So we'll go through that process here in a second. You got a plug follower, which is used to remove the core, and then you have the cylinder removal tool, and all these we'll get to see in action here in a minute. So for this I will be using this and pen and paper, or pencil and paper. So this is a customer's key that we want all the locks to work with. So now the way you measure this, and you do have to keep in mind, so this is for a quickset using 0.023 increments. That's referencing how big the pins are. So this is not going to work on a master key, it's not going to work on a slate key. There are other decoders for those. So the way you want to measure is you always start with this and go out to the tip. And the reason being is it keeps you organized, so when you go to repin, you know which way you go. And the way you're going to use this is, you can see there are numbers here, and each one of those correspond to a pin. So you'll see that it looks like a little shelf system here. So we're going to go with cut 1, again closest to the shoulder. We're going to slide that down. So it slides, and it's always going to be the number on the right. So this goes down to 5. So cut 1 is 5. I'm going to repeat this for all this. Second cut. Now, I can't tell you how hard it is to do this with the camera. So cut 3. 5. Cut 4. Cut 4 is 5. Now, one thing in doing this, you got to keep track of which cut you're on. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when you're doing this, this is a pretty pristine key. The thing is, these wear out over use. So if you've got a customer that's got a well-used key, this may be one a little bit more, so instead of measuring to 4, it can slide just a little bit over to 5. So, in decoding this, we have to take this with a grain of salt, and we have to check our work. So, now what I'm going to do, we've got 2 locks here. So I'm going to get 2 sets ready. So in the way these line out, is if the key is like this, according to our cuts, so it should be 5, 4, 4, 5, 6. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is, this is an airtight case, so there is a possibility that these pins do get mixed up, which is again why we have to check the work. So we got 5, 4, 5, 6, 5. Now, hopefully, not hopefully, but some of these are the wrong pins. And we'll see that once we go to change everything out. So now we're good with this. We shouldn't need anything else from that for now. So first thing I'm going to do is the deadbolt, because it's easier. So as you see, there's your current key. And here's the key that we want to work. Okay. So now with the deadbolt, when you pull it out, you see this little clip here. And these are, there's no exact way to do this. You just got to kind of hook one side and just kind of work this back and forth until that clip comes up. Now always make sure you're holding that out, because what can happen is it slides out and then the top pins and the springs are going to shoot everywhere, and then you have to rebuild this. So we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is now take this in, turn it sideways, and we're going to take a follower. Now, different followers are for different locks. Some can be interchangeable, some locks require a certain follower. So we're going to slide that out. You always want to push this out just a little bit extra. So what this is doing is it's holding that good God. So what's in here is a spring pushing up on this with the top pin. So if you just pull that core out or you drop the core, what happens is these shoot out, and then what you have to do is carefully go back in and rebuild it. It's not fun, but it does happen. So now here's the core. As you can see, with the key in, the pins are all lined up nice and flush. But let's put the new key in. Now we're not all nice and flush. So what I like to do is put the new key in. Remember, we started measuring from this end first. So just got one. And the reason I like doing it with the key in is as I'm putting them in, I can make sure it's nice and flush. That'll tell me if either I measured right, or the key was worn and it gave me an off reading, or if the wrong pin was in the wrong space in my kit. Which looks like right there we got one that's not. And that's cut 3, which should have been a 5, so we probably got a 6. There we go. I was actually hoping that would happen. Didn't do it on purpose, but it does happen where the pins get mixed up. This is why I do the real check with the key in there. Okay, and the final one. Man, I gotta get used to the orientation of this camera. So everything's nice and flush. Now if you do pull keys in and out while you've got the core like this, do it slow so it doesn't shoot. So now there's the old key. So let's gently push this back in. Let's grab our housing again. So again, you want this to be at an angle. And just nicely slide it in. Things will go flying. Hold the core and pull the key out. Okay. Now we just take this clip, snap it back on. So, original key no longer works. Alright, so that's one down. So now let's move on to So as you can see, I haven't opened this yet. This is just your standard Walmart kwickset. So you've got all the hardware in here, and we won't be going over installing the lock, but it does come with instructions. Now here's one tip I want to give you. So you can spend quite a bit of money going out and buying setup keys, and setup keys are just pre-cut keys that you go and say someone moves into a new house or whatever, they want a whole brand new key set. Well, you can buy keys, or as you replace stuff and rekey, save these guys, because you just saved yourself a couple bucks, which $2 or $3 for a setup key doesn't sound like a lot, but if you do it enough, it does. So right there, we are rekeying this. We got ourselves a free setup key. So, just a little tip to save some money in the bank. So, standard lock. Of course, it's got all the nice new oil on it. Just make sure this key works. Okay. So now the disassembly this is, if you look right here, you see a little notch. So you can put your tool in like this. And line this up with that. Now go on the opposite side, and you'll see right here this little tab. So take the tool, kind of slide it in back here, and you're gonna use the tool to push that tab in, which extends these, and new locks, watch out for the grease, and then this comes out. So, again, just go over that again because it can be hard to see. So we're going to line up this notch right here. Then we're going to go to the opposite side. Maybe it shows it better if I do it like that. So there's this tab right here. We're going to put the tool in, twist, which pushes these out, and then you slide this out. Next, get this right here. We're going to work this down. And then you want to give yourself something firm. Just a heavy piece of material. So if this is pushed all the way in, just want to go. Oh, hold on. Oh, crap, my battery's gone dead. Hold on 1 second. Pause for intermission. Alright, sorry about that. New setup, new process. So, okay. So we remove the spindle. Then we're going to go back to so you just want to kind of wedge that. So the door right there. but sometimes okay. Slide it in. You want to push it all the way in, and then this should. Sometimes you do need to get a solid surface and just kind of tap it. But this is a brand new one, so it's popping right out. So once we pop that out, you'll see what was very similar to the mechanism of the Deadbolt. A little bit different. So inside, what this does is, it goes in, these clips hold it, and then when you attach everything on the back, that's what holds it in place. So now this is going to be a very similar process, but a little bit trickier since now we have these clips in the way. But you got a very similar clip that holds the core in. So again, do the wiggle method. Again, keeping your fingers so the core doesn't fall out. Take on keys provided. It's going to be almost a mirror of what we just did for the Deadbolt, with the added bonus of those clips. Okay. Yeah. You can tell it's a new lock. Look at all that oil. Let's go ahead. Now, some people do recycle these pins. It's your prerogative. To me, they're cheap enough. You know, a couple of bucks for a 100 pack of each size. So, just repeating the process. And I should have grabbed a paper towel. So, I showed you before using pinning tweezers, but you can also use your fingers. A little bit harder to pick the pins up. Alright, so we're keeping it nice and flush. So far, no incorrect pins. And you might see that when I drop it in, I run my finger across it. Sometimes, especially with new locks with the oil in there, the pin doesn't always drop all the way in. So I just do a little something like that, and that's how quickly those pins can pop out. Okay, so now reassembling. Again, sure. Put it at an angle. Make sure you're keeping that core in. I will do a video on what happens when things don't work out and you have to rebuild one. Okay, so we're just doing everything in reverse. Spindle. Double check the new key. Check the old key. Nothing. Key. And there you go. These are ready to install. Your customer only has one key for the house and should be happy. Hopefully they offer you a good tip. So that's it for this video. If you found it useful, you liked it, please be sure to hit that subscribe and like buttons. If there's any specific processes you want me to go over, just please shoot me a comment. Other than that, you all have a great day. Thanks.